World War III update for you. So made it 2 days into the new year before the first update. I guess that's I guess that's not that bad. Oh, God help us. All right, Russia tests 10 warhead ballistic missiles. Pretty much all their ballistic missiles carry 10 warheads. The RS-24 Yars, spelled Y-A-R-S, intercontinental ballistic missile equipment to overcome missile defense systems. Uh, World Bulletin News Desk. This article was sent to me by one of my, World Bulletin. That's the name of the site. This was sent to me by one of my subscribers. You know who you are. Thank you very much. Okay, Russian Defense Ministry announces a successful test of the RS-24 Yars ballistic missile on Friday. Test warheads hit their targets in Kura, K-U-R-A testing range on the Kamchatka Peninsula. I'm sure I butchered that. With pinpoint accuracy. How nice, said Colonel Igor Yegorov, spokesperson for the ministry. The missile was launched at 11:02. I can imagine it doesn't say AM or PM. Moscow time, Friday, Yegorov said. The adopt of the RS-24 ICBM with multiple re-entry warheads has increased the combat capabilities of the Strategic Missile Forces Assault Group to overcome missile defense systems, thus strengthening the nuclear deterrent of Russia. Strategic Nuclear Forces, Colonel Yegorov said. The RS-24 carries up to 10 independently targetable warheads. Russia's strategic nuclear forces are actively remaining with the new RS-24 Yars missile, which replaces two older models that have been used for more than 50 years. The ballistic missiles use solid fuel and has a range of 7,500 miles. It can be launched from either from silo or from road mobile launchers, i.e. TOPL-M. Give you an idea, the Earth is about 40 some odd thousand miles in circumference. Okay, so 7,500 miles when you're thinking from launching from the northern regions of the poles. That 7,500 miles, say from Moscow to, they wouldn't launch from Moscow. They would be launching closer from the North Pole. That would reach well into South America, pretty much, if you go 7,500 miles. You can work it out on a map yourself, but you get the idea. it would definitely get you. This also comes at a time where the TAR system is being apparently, and this was another article that I just read, being in a nutshell put aside by Obama. Now, this could be funding cuts. This could be a lot of things. What it is basically, in a nutshell, is the system that they have in the States, or had in the States, for detecting low-flying aircraft and missiles, cruise missiles and stuff like that on the southern border, basically U.S.-Mexican southern border. I guess mainly to detect drug cartel, but as well as possible missile strikes. And most cruise missiles follow with what you call nap of the earth, kind of. Basically it flies as close to the ground as possible, maybe within 50 feet of the ground at very high speeds, very hard to detect. So what they had was lower kind of, radar and stuff like that to detect these things coming in, and that's no longer there. So that means, yes, the United States is even more vulnerable than what it was, just a short while ago. So with that said, you now have to start. This is how we're starting 2015 with strategic missile systems, and this is something I covered in previous videos, telling people, hey, look, we've been basically, seeing, like, again, over 150 in 2014, over 150, bomber and interceptor excursions. I don't know how many naval excursions that were, border probes by the Russians on, basically all the NATO countries. So I mean, this is not normal Russian activity. It's not that they haven't done this before in the past, but this is not normal activity. This is a response to, okay. Now, also in 2014, what else did we see? We've seen, many naval excursions, not only with Russia, but between Japan and China. So you have that front that's still still pretty hot as well. Also seen, several missile tests, like at least one a month minimum, sometimes two or three a month from the Russians. Again, out of the ordinary. They've readied 400 nuclear warheads. That's what they accomplished in 2014. So that means in 2015 they're still going to. I mean, they have over 5,000 warheads that they know of. You'll never get the exact numbers. You'll always see. So how many warheads are? Some say there's 1,000 on each side. Some say there's 8,000, 10,000. At some one estimate, at worldwide, there was over 40,000 known nuclear warheads out there. But the problem is that the Russians don't put serial numbers on stuff. They just build it. They just build stuff in like super bulk. And because of that, you don't know what's out there. You don't know what they really have. And so they have lots. You also have to understand, warheads are not that big. They're heavy, but they're not that big. They can be moved around, a lot easier than you would think. And with detection systems such as, to be able to detect these things moving around, I think it's a mission impossible kind of system to deter it. You would never deter it. Iron Dome, which we saw in 2012, also, again in 2013, we see how it doesn't really work that well. It has to be 100% accurate all the time. And the Patriot missile system has to be 100% accurate all the time. These nuclear missiles only have to get lucky once. Think about that. And you get 10 shots per missile times, well, right now, 400 missiles. So that's 4,000 warheads you have to worry about. And you don't think any are going to get through? Yeah, so should be really be getting into that pissing contest with the Russians. Again, the Russian military is almost as large as NATO, though not quite as advanced on the bulk. Their smaller stuff is advanced enough, and even their most unadvanced stuff is still lethal. Even their non-nuclear stuff is still lethal. You've got brand new submarines, which are again very lethal. You've got all kinds of nuclear missile tests going on. You have Russia kind of in a bit of a crunch economically, which I don't think is going to be a long-term thing. I really don't, because you're already starting to see the ruble kind of bounce back a bit, because people know what's going on. Like they know, like Putin's getting a little bit of slag for it, but you have to understand, between Boris Yeltsin and Putin is like night and day. Putin has, although he's not perfect, he has helped an awful lot in Russia in a lot of ways. Is he a tyrant? Yeah, he's still a tyrant, because he's a puppet to the puppet masters too on that side of the fence. But he's still way better than what Yeltsin ever was. Yeltsin, was drunk all the time. He nearly fell asleep on the button 3 or 4 times. You know what I mean? And you have to understand, with Boris Yeltsin, there was one time where we nearly went to war, and even in his drunken stupor, he was still logical enough to say, no, don't launch the missiles. And it would have been a computer glitch, a simulator program in the States that simulated a launch on Russia, but it wasn't a real attack, and the Russians detected it, and they said, okay, no, it's not the real thing, it's a glitch. And had it been the real thing, they would have been annihilated, and they wouldn't have retaliated. But that's a hell of a gamble. That's a hell of a gamble. So Yeltsin, pretty much fell out of favor with the people. Of course, they didn't know about this until many years after, but he pretty much, the economy was destroyed. Putin comes along, builds the economy a lot better than what it was. Okay, and not that it's a perfect economy. I mean, the Russians are still, they don't really take care of the people there. You know what I mean? Like, they're not, the government doesn't really take care of the people there. None of these former Soviet-style communist countries ever take care of their people. The people always have to suffer. But the things are improving in Russia, so that's why Putin has got such a high, approval rating. Even if it might be manipulated, it's still pretty high. I mean, he threw a lot of oligarchs in jail. He, basically bounced out one system for another system. But I'll put my crony capitalists in, if you want to call them crony capitalists. I say crony fascists. In favor of the Jewish oligarchs that he overthrew, which. At the end of the day, it's still, you're just replacing one corruption with another, but it's still, things are slightly improving. He sticks up for the family. He sticks up for, he's partially nationalistic. He puts out a bit of a strongman attitude, and people respond to that. Okay, and plus people know that, Putin isn't solely responsible for collapsing, or the rough patch that they're going through now. They know this is coming from the West. They know the Maidan, what happened in the Maidan Square was a U.S. coup. That Russia, yes, they are backing rebels and stuff like that. As a counter coup. They know this. And but they're getting volunteers. These soldiers that go on vacation and end up getting killed in Ukraine. Yeah, you've got a few groups out there protesting that, but you have to understand, like again, people are still kind of following this man around. Will it be to the detriment of mankind? Who knows? Because you have lunatics on the other side of the fence too. I mean, you really, really have to understand that you've got a bit of a Moby Dick thing going on right now with Ukraine. Get that great white whale, and it's basically, if you followed my channel for long enough, you know pretty much what's going on in the Ukraine. People are caught up on the semantics of, the Russians are bad. Oh no, the Ukrainians are Nazis and the Russians are bad. Yeah, but you're missing the big point. It's not; those aren't the people that are fighting on the ground. Those aren't the people you need to look at. You need to ask yourself, well, if you're a person fighting on the ground, who told you to go fight? You're fighting because governments told you to go fight. And what are you fighting for? Well, I'm fighting for the freedom of my country. Well, on the other side, I'm fighting for the freedom of my people. Okay, so you're both fighting for the freedom of your people. Okay, fine, granted. Now, the thing is wouldn't you rather just sit down and talk about it rather than escalate it into a war? And the people that are supporting you, do you not question why the Ukrainian military is, basically raining artillery shells down on the very people that support them? That makes no sense. Oh, well, we're killing Russian rebels. But then you're killing your own people too. You see what I mean? It becomes very, very insolvent. So there's something else at play here. And of course, if you just follow the economics that are happening to the Ukraine's a basket case right now. It always was, it's a very, very poor place. But the thing is that what people don't realize is, look at all the outside, like the IMF bankers that are taking over the Ukrainian economy, Joe Biden's son taking over the gas industry over there. Like when you see what's happening, like Ukraine is getting, raped like crazy. All the gold, they checked, if you haven't heard this one yet, you can't even make this stuff up. The Ukrainian gold that was taken from, again, kind of like instead of, like they took Gaddafi's gold after they killed him. We even, see some of it here in Canada. We, any of Gaddafi's belongings that were in Canada, we pretty much seized here. All the countries did this. Now, the thing is that the Ukraine, okay, the FBI and probably the CIA come in the middle of the night. They raid the Ukrainian gold vault, basically removing all these boxes. The Ukrainians like, where's our gold? And all of a sudden, okay, well, here comes some more gold that they bought for the Ukraine. Okay, and now the story is, and again, it's hard to kind of verify this. We're never going to know the whole truth. But the story goes like this. They took the Ukrainian gold, sent it to Switzerland to melt it down, to pay, and notice how people are getting gold back from the Federal Reserve when the Federal Reserve will not show anybody how much gold it has. It's because it's the same thing why France is in Mali, to steal the gold, because they owe people. You're stealing from somebody else to pay somebody else's, robbing Peter to pay Paul, so to speak. Now, as this is going on, more gold shows up in Ukraine, like, kind of, okay, well, they took the Ukrainian gold, took it somewhere else, and then all of a sudden they bring it back again. Doesn't make sense. So they test their gold. What do they find out? Their gold is basically lead bars, painted lead bars is what they are. So it's lead bars, painted gold. Yeah, that's what's going on there. So you can see how bad this is getting. That said, again, the Russians are stepping up their, they're responding to NATO. This is a fake picture, if you're wondering. But you were seeing the response to NATO, and from everything you're seeing, all the politicians, all they're talking about is going to war with Russia. That's all they're talking about. And when you watch the mainstream media over here in the West, it's Russia's bad, and there's no proof of what they've done, but Russia's bad. Now, are the Russians the good guys? No. This is the point. You can't pick sides. There are no good guys here. If you've got a Russian tyrant that tells people to go kill people over there, that's bad. If you have an American tyrant saying go kill people over there, that's bad too. You know what I mean? Like, there's no good guys here. What the end game here is to get into a war. Now, I'm thinking they're thinking, we'll just have a regional war in Europe, Eastern Europe, and, because they can destroy those countries because they don't care about them. These banker globalist elites do not care about mankind at all. But what they don't realize is that the Russians, have the capabilities of pushing this thing, to the brink. They have the capabilities. The other thing you have to factor in is that not everybody in this game is sane. In fact, they're all more clinically insane than sane. Again, Emperor Nero meets Moby Dick. They both have to be right at all costs. Madame Albright said it when they asked her about invading Iraq and all the Iraqi women and children that were killed. Was it worth the cost? And they're like, yeah, we believe it's worth the cost. There's no amount of pain and suffering that will register with these people. They don't care. They are lunatics. They are complete narcissistic psychopaths, meaning they will do anything to get what they want. If their goal is a one world government or whatever, or to put missile systems in the Ukraine, or to disband the Black Fleet in the Crimea, they will do anything to get there. That said, when you have psychopaths on the other side willing to defend at all cost, well, how could things possibly go wrong? You know what I mean? It's just something, you know what I mean though, right? You got a nut job here and a nut job there. Two tribes go to war. It's very, 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 very simple. And the thing is people, no, they'll never take it to that level. Well, it's already gone this far. They can't stop now. These people are such lunatics, they can't stop now. They don't know any better. And it's up to the people to, even with the uprisings that are happening in Russia right now, which are not really, they don't seem to be super legitimate uprisings. I mean, there's always protests going on in these places anyway. But even at that, it's like the Hong Kong protests. They're CIA, basically, usually CIA fronts. Now, the one in Russia, I don't know all the details on it, but it's looking like it's going to be, a George Soros-funded CIA type thing. And George Soros himself, I mean, look, this man, basically tells everybody, stay away from gold, it's not a good investment, but he's buying tons of gold and, basically moving all his assets out of U.S., and towards China. And he's openly said, look, China has to become the new, new century must belong to China. Who is he to decide? Well, he's deciding because the Rothschilds told him who to decide. And at the end of the game, it's always these people up at the top of the system, the ones that never have to do any of the fighting. So they don't mind sacrificing you, to these causes. Now the thing is how far will they push it? Again, at a time when the U.S. couldn't be any more vulnerable. And they want it, they want an attack. I mean, there's already rumors that there may be attack on Chicago early, probably possibly this month, maybe next month, from the making of this video. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. So if you see stuff like that, and of course, if you see cruise missiles or something like that, or a terrorist attack of some sort come over the Mexican border, you can ask the question, why was nobody watching it? Well, it's the same reason. When you take all your border agents and get them to babysit illegals, and more importantly, help out in human, like the DHS should be disbanded just for the fact that it's doing human smuggling across the border. They're taking illegals, okay, and basically going and getting them and then dropping them off and just letting them randomly go throughout the United States. Oh, the Panzer S1 or S2s, these things are now in the Arctic. That I think was last week from making this video. So these things are now deploying to the Arctic. These are one of their newer systems, and they seem to work quite well. Again, the other thing too, and you have to understand, like the Russians, even their older stuff, you have to understand, after the first 2 or 3 weeks of an actual war, their stuff will start to become superior. Why? Because almost all their stuff works 2 or 3 weeks without maintenance. They're Black Shark helicopters designed to run anywhere from half an hour to 45 minutes without any oil in the transmission, that type of thing. They make them very loose tolerance, which makes them a little less precise, but reliable. It doesn't mean, the Russians do make a lot of junk too, but the stuff that works, it's proven junk. It works. Now their new stuff is pretty state of the art. It's as capable, or even in some instances superior to the American stuff out there. The good news is it's in low numbers. The bad news is there's no way to get into a war with Russia without taking massive, massive casualties. And they know this. The EU, the IMF, they know this. The United States, they know this. That's why they want the Europeans to fight it. That's why they got the Ukrainian soldiers. They're going to fight the Russians to the last Ukrainian soldier. They're going to do that. Again, you're the cannon fodder. You're the sacrificial lamb. They don't care about you. But the thing is Russia is sending us every possible, indication that, hey, you know what, you guys have went too far. So the Ukrainian resolution, the Ukrainian, what they call it, the Ukrainian sovereignty resolution, or whatever it is there, resolution 758, is it 758? Yeah, 758. basically that declares war on Russia. Not even a week later, this happens just before Christmas of 2014, and now just a couple of days into the new year, or just before the new year, the Russians have responded by, changing their military doctrine, although still defensive. It basically puts NATO as its number one threat, which was always kind of unofficial, but now it's official. This also changed, in 2012. We've seen China change its first strike policy, meaning a preemptive strike can come from these countries. Well, Russia's doing the same. A preemptive strike could possibly come from Russia. I don't think they would ever do it unless they thought they were an imminent attack. So I don't think they would ever. And Russia has said this several times. They will not be the first to initiate the attack. Now, if we're lucky, this is just a big stage and Putin's in it with Obama, and you never know. That is a possibility. And if that's the possibility, the good news is that it'll only be a conventional war. It won't be a thermonuclear war. Millions and millions will die like World War I, World War II, but at least it'll only, the plant life will go on, But if it's not, and they're not in on it, that means they are truly opposed. If they're truly opposed, wow, that's going to be pretty bloody, When, like that's going to be a really bad situation. And the thing is with these missile tests, again, now we see warhead tests. We've seen tons of missile tests. That was 2014 was missile tests. Now we're seeing warhead tests. Okay, so what's the difference here? Okay, well, a missile test is basically we take the big ass rocket, we fire it off, and we look at it and say, ooh, that's pretty and shiny, makes a lot of noise, that's pretty cool, and it works. Now what we do is take the thing it was designed to transport, the actual nuclear warheads, and we put the warheads in and we test the warheads. Now these warheads were not obviously detonated, because we would have known about it on the international news like seconds after. Like they would be like breaking, Russia has just detonated its first nuclear weapon in 50 years type of thing. But and I don't remember when I said it last. I probably in the last update, maybe one or two before that, when Putin starts playing the crazy man, kind of like North Korea, what we'll probably see is a thermonuclear weapon detonated. And if they do anything like they did with the Tazar bomb, what I suspect is they will go to the full 100 megaton bomb. I would expect probably most likely an atmospheric test. Why? Because it will gain the most attention. Why? Because it's going to knock Europe's power out for a week. That's what it's going to do. And they know this. Now they would say, "Oh, our bad. We didn't know. We were just testing our nuke." And it. But what they're really telling you is, see how powerful this thing is. And right now we have 4,000 of them ready to go, and we're working on the other 40,000 or 5,000 or whatever. You see what I mean? This is what they're telling you. Everything. Politicians speak in riddles, and they don't necessarily tell you directly. If you don't stop it, we're going to nuke your ass. Now the problem is Putin has pretty much all but said it in that manner. He's like, we will respond nuclearly. I mean, that's plain language. Okay, maybe never mind the little slight translation from Russian to English, but he has said, look, we will respond up to and including nuclear force. The world is being stabilized by low oil prices. The Saudis have said, we don't care. We're going to drop the oil to $30 a barrel if we want. Russia knows this is a war against it. Now that said, with the BRICS going online within this month, or next month, which is January and February 2015, this is going to put the pressure on again. Again, everything is ratcheting towards war, not away from it. This is, again, if you can prove me wrong on this stuff, by all means, please do. I would highly, highly encourage that. But again, how far will they take it? Well, the thing is look at where we were in 2010, which 2010 is a real kind of, that's where the beacon really starts for this, is because in 2010, they ramp up, Iran's going to get a nuclear weapon in 5 minutes. They've been saying that for the past 30, 40 years now. They ramp that up. So we have to be ready for Iran. We have to be ready for Iran. And then, of course, we have to surround China. And so you got, they predict by the year 2020, providing we haven't gotten into a war by that time, that 1/3 or 1 or 2/3 of the U.S. naval fleet will be surrounding China. And again, what has China really done other than just outsmarted us economically? That's it. They're still just as corrupt. They're going to collapse too. And I mean, it's easy to take down China without going to war with them. This is the whole lunacy of it. You don't need to go. All you have to do is just kind of put tariffs on them. Say, okay, well, you guys are undercutting our labor. We're going to put tariffs on you. And all of a sudden, it's a level playing field again. that's the whole thing. So why do they do this? Why do they have to get that great white whale? Why do they have to push that? This is what tells me like the elites already have the power. They already have the money. So there's got to be another motive. Like this is where I start to believe that it's done in the form of Satanism or some sort of insert some sort of ism. They're crazy. They're just downright crazy. It's a nihilistic thing to kill that many people. I like this picture. When you absolutely have to kill somebody while throwing a hatchet while doing a backflip, nice. Again, a different type of training. But that said, again, why are these elites doing what they're doing? Well, you know, and it's not just one group of elites. There's several different factions. You have the Zionist faction. You have, the Russian faction. You have the globalist faction. You have the communist factions. You have, and the list goes on and on and on. And some are on one side, some are on the other. And really, you got the world busted into two pieces: the transatlantic Anglo-American system, and and the Eurasian Pacific system, which now includes South America. So. And pretty much all of it, pretty much all of Asia, So you're seeing the system, you're seeing the world, being, basically a tug of war between two, not just two countries, but between two paradigms, right? A U.S. dollar or versus the Chinese dollar, basically, that type of thing. But at the end of the day, it's not even the dollar or the denomination of the dollars. This is the part that a lot of people can't grasp. The currency that they push doesn't matter. The Rothschild, when they bought in, 1913, said, "Give me the ability to print a nation's money. I care who not makes its laws." That tells you everything you need to know. And that also tells you it doesn't really matter which nation. It doesn't even matter what the denomination is. Because all you need to do is control the reserve currency, who cares whose it is, and you need to control the resources. Once you control those two things, you have everything. You can have as much slavery as you want. You can have as much genocide as you want. You control everything. So that's one aspect of this. Problem is there might be more than one people trying to do this. Remember that one bloody chair up at the top that I was talking about that everybody wants to sit in? Well, this is what it looks like. This is the struggle for that. Now that said, again, how far will it go? I'm not banking on. I'm thinking the nuclear war is going to happen more by accident, and I'm even thinking more. It's more going to happen, from like Pakistan or India, where somebody gets a hold of a warhead that's poorly guarded, that type of thing. And I'm seeing more of that as a possibility. But an all-out nuclear war between Russia and the United States, I think, was most likely going to happen through some sort of black swan accident of, test gone wrong, missile strays, and is taken for an actual all-out launch. Think about it. You have these warheads coming back in. Okay, what happens if one strays and it goes a little bit too far to the west? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like when they're hitting their targets, I mean, they can go off and it's like, oh my God, that thing's heading towards England instead of the northern tundra. You know what I mean? That type of thing. Oh, next thing you know, missile systems go into automation type of thing, and people start launching, on a false warning. And then, once you set off these missiles, you can't call them back. Yeah, in this day and age, you still can't call them back. Now some missiles, the more modern systems, you can actually detonate in outer space, but even that leads to a problem because then you're in a total blackout and you don't know if the other guy was legitimately launching at you or not. So you see, once these things get launched, they're just going to let them go. Because why? They're not going to take the risk of having the birds caught on the ground. So it can go from bad to worst very, very quickly. And as we see, 2015, 2 days in, we got a missile test and warheads now tested. So I guess that's about all I'm going to do on this update for now. So if you like this kind of content and you'd like to donate to the channel, and anything that helps me out helps you guys out, because, like anything, I see this as a very valuable connecting the dots kind of thing. I do see the value in it, and I do thank everybody who has contributed. But again, this is like a team effort, so you guys keep sending me those links. You guys keep, if you see something that I screwed up on and I didn't, maybe miss, I mean, not everybody's going to agree with me on everything, but it's not really the details that you have to agree on everything. It's more of the pattern. The overall trend is what I'm trying to expose. So even if I'm off on one thing or another, most of the time it's heading in the direction I say so. Don't get too caught up on the semantics. But if you do catch me on something that's not correct, please by all means, call me out on it. But on that time, the problem you're going to have is not too much you can call me out on. But also too, like again, as some of you guys out there, thank you so much. You've been sending me some fantastic links. I appreciate your comments. To me, it's that's what this whole thing is about. It blows my mind that people get on YouTube, make videos, and then disable the comments. I mean, that's the whole interaction of this thing. That like it doesn't get it. You can't do that with a TV set. You know what I mean? Like it's just wow, like it blows my mind. And plus I find out so much. And also too, for all you people out there, keep an eye to the skies and the Navy and whatever. If you are seeing more than usual fighter jet activity, stuff like that, post it down below. I mean, you got to understand too, there is also just normal everyday combat training too, and I get that. But the thing is there's a difference between jets flying from point A to point B to do training and scramble, bears inbound. You know what I mean? There's a big difference in that. So any sort of military movements that you notice, please. Oh, and there's going to be more U.S. tanks going to Europe as well. I believe these ones are going to be going to. It was Slovakia, I think. Don't quote me on that. I heard it quick. But anyway, yeah, so we see more buildup, and I'm sure after this missile test, the United States will do something, and then the Russians will do something, then the United States will do something, and then the Russians will do something, and then at some point, Europe's going to burn. So anyway, remember, all these people that are in charge are lunatics. That's all you really need to know. So put food away. If I'm wrong, what happens? You got extra food in the house. If I'm right, what happens? Nothing good. So anyway, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like. Be true to yourself. Be true to others. Always, always do the right thing. Have a great day, eh? Good day, hi, and welcome. Got a World War III update for you. So made it 2 days into the new year before the first update. I guess that's not that bad. Oh, God help us. All right, Russia tests 10 warhead ballistic missiles. Pretty much all their ballistic missiles carry 10 warheads. The RS-24 Yars, spelled Y-A-R-S, intercontinental ballistic missile equipment to overcome missile defense systems. World Bulletin News Desk. This article comes from, it was sent to me by one of my, World Bulletin, that's the name of the site. This was sent to me by one of my subscribers. You know who you are, thank you very much. Okay, Russian Defense Ministry announces a successful test of the RS-24 Yars ballistic missile on Friday. Test warheads hit their targets in Kura, K-U-R-A testing range on the Kamchatka Peninsula. I'm sure I butchered that. With pinpoint accuracy. How nice, said Colonel Igor Yegorov, spokesperson for the ministry. The missile was launched at 11:02. I can imagine it doesn't say AM or PM. Moscow time, Friday, Yegorov said. The adopt of the RS-24 ICBM with multiple re-entry warheads has increased the combat capabilities of the Strategic Missile Forces Assault Group to overcome missile defense systems, thus strengthening the nuclear deterrent of Russia. Strategic Nuclear Forces, Colonel Yegorov said the RS-24 carries up to 10 independently targetable warheads. Russia's strategic nuclear forces are actively remaining with the new RS-24 Yars missile, which replaces two older models that have been used for more than 50 years. The ballistic missiles use solid fuel and has a range of 7,500 miles. It can be launched from either from silo or from road mobile launchers, i.e. TOPL-M. Give you an idea, the Earth is about 40 some odd thousand miles in circumference. Okay, So 7,500 miles when you're thinking from launching from the northern regions of the poles. That 7,500 miles, say from Moscow to, they wouldn't launch from Moscow. They would be launching closer from the North Pole. That would reach well into South America, pretty much, if you go 7,500 miles. You can work it out on a map yourself, but you get the idea. It would definitely get you. This also comes at a time where the TAR system is being apparently, and this was another article that I just read, being in a nutshell put aside by Obama. Now, this could be funding cuts. This could be a lot of things. What it is basically, in a nutshell, is the system that they have in the States, or had in the States, for detecting low-flying aircraft and missiles, cruise missiles and stuff like that on the southern border, basically U.S.-Mexican southern border. I guess mainly to detect drug cartel, but as well as possible missile strikes. And most cruise missiles follow with what you call nap of the earth, kind of, basically it flies as close to the ground as possible, maybe within 50 feet of the ground at very high speeds, very hard to detect. So what they had was lower kind of, radar and stuff like that to detect these things coming in, and that's no longer there. So that means, yes, the United States is even more vulnerable than what it was, just a short while ago. So with that said, you now have to start. This is how we're starting 2015 with strategic missile systems, and this is something I covered in previous videos, telling people, hey, look, we've been basically, seeing, like, again, over 150 in 2014, over 150, bomber and interceptor excursions. I don't know how many naval excursions that were, border probes by the Russians on, basically all the NATO countries. So I mean, this is not normal Russian activity. It's not that they haven't done this before in the past, but this is not normal.